Here is one tip for every hero that is currently in Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Keep in mind that heroes get added, removed, buffed and nerfed, but I do often make update videos and in-depth hero guides, so if you want to catch more from me, be sure to hit subscribe. Now let's get started with AFKay. If you notice Murlocs and Beasts are in the lobby, only freeze your shop if it has the Tidehunter or the Alley Cat, and be sure to take Khadgar if you get him offered from your hero power. This way you'll easily be able to farm multiple triples with the tokens and just explode in a couple turns. For Alakir, I think the best fib that I can give you is that if you have a token or a elemental, you can power level to tier 3 on turn 3. It's a really good option because your hero power will make sure that you don't take too much damage in the upcoming turns and you'll be ahead of everyone else. For Alexstrasza, it's important to remember that hitting Malygos or Amalgadon from your hero power is very unlikely. The best thing you can do is buy dragon pairs in the early game and get a triple from your hero power when you hit tier 5. Aranna's biggest advantage is hitting early triples and forcing a composition on tier 1, 2 or 3. This means that an early elemental board with multiple party elementals and molten rocks is pretty solid, just like demons. For Rafaam, there is a lot of small things to keep in mind, but I think the most interesting and unknown tip I can give you is to never pick up a Righteous Protector. Your opponent's spawn will not die attacking into it, and stealing early spawns to get it tripled is one of the strongest openers with Rafaam. The best Eudora tip I can give is to find a way to power level to tier 4 when you finish your dig, discovering a tier 5 unit. This feels much more solid than going for a tier 4 unit, even if you have to sacrifice a little bit of health for it. Hooktusk isn't that great, but I think the best way to use your hero power is to find early triples, preferably tokens or force demons. When playing Chenvaala, Elemental is your best friend. It is very important that you always map out your turns and calculate how much gold you'll have in the next round and how much leveling will cost. As Deryl, you need to know what all the best units are to dance on in your specific lobby. For example, what Divine Shield units can you find on tier 3? What are you looking for on tier 4? This will help you decide whether it's worth to roll or if you should just start dancing. When I play Deathwing, I count my board and units as hits in the first few rounds. For example, Scallywag is 2 hits, Rockpool Hunter is 1 hit, Infested Wolf is 3 hits. When a unit has 4 or more health, it can start value trading and can be counted as 2 hits. Just pick the most amount of hits possible to be strong. As long as you have more hits on your board than your opponent, you'll win the fight in the early game. The best thing Dinotamer Brann can do is get specific triples from the hero power. You'll even be able to delay them if you want. Obviously Murlocs are ideal. Edwin can be played like Dancing Deryl. Just know what units you're looking for on every tier to hero power depending on what tribes are in the lobby. These will most likely be Divine Shield units or Cleaves again. Elise should never be scared to level unless you're taking big hits. Leveling is almost the same as finding a triple, so you'll be able to spike faster and get the direction without having to rely on your luck too much. It's hard to find a specific tip for Omu, but all I can say is that you need to level as much as possible. Whenever you're not ahead of other people on Tavern tier, you're basically playing without a hero power. For Flurgl, it's very important to find Murloc Tidehunters. The tokens are a great engine for when you sell them on tier 3 and get buffs in return. A bonus tip is that most triples on tier 5 are bait, since there's nothing on tier 6 for you except maybe Amalgadon. As Galakrond, I see way too many people be super greedy. Sell for a good 5-star unit or take an Adina instead of rerolling your 6-star unit again next turn. The best unit for George to hero power are obviously poison units, but also units that are scalable like Gold Gribber, Crowd Favorite and Salty Looter. The best tip I have for Illidan is don't play Illidan. If you accidentally run out of time and Bob gave you this hero, just try to high roll with double cleave or double macaw. Toki has a very interesting turn 4 which is at 6 gold. Here, instead of buying 2 units on tier 2, you can consider leveling for 5 gold, hero powering and freezing a good tier 4 unit. The turn after you can buy it, hero power again and get a second tier 4 unit. You're now ahead on leveling with 2 4-star units on the board already. As Jandice, you want to pick up any token if you find them early. From that point on, you can literally get free triples whenever you want by hero powering the main body and tripling the token it generates. When playing Kael'thas, don't forget to buy every gambler you see unless it steals the buff. On 8 gold, you're also much more likely to triple buy instead of rolling and buying 2 units, as this will grant you another buff. Many Mukla players stay on lower tavern tiers and start buffing up random units, but you can also just save your bananas in your hand until you find a much better unit on tier 3. Lich Baz'hial gets the most amount of value from her hero power if you get a coin every turn in the early game and spend it as soon as possible for maximum tempo, meaning you spend 1 coin on turn 3 to buy another unit and spend 3 extra coins on turn 4. It's easy to get tilted when playing Lord Barov, and if you suck at gambling, just flip a coin because then you're not the one to blame for losing the game. Just blame it all on RNG. As Jaraxxus in the early turns, if you have 4 gold left, it's often better to roll and buy a unit instead of buy something bad and hero power. The sooner you get your demons and weavers, the better. Maiev is pretty easy, just hero power almost every pair you see and power level all the way up for an easy game. When Malygos hits a triple and misses, it's not that big of a deal, since you can just reroll the unit on your board every turn until you're satisfied. So if you're forcing dragons and miss on the Malygos, just try again every turn with your hero power. The best thing about Millhouse is that he can cheat gold. Economy is key, so buy everything that's money like gamblers, elementals, and tokens in the early game, even when it is not the most amount of tempo. Millificent wants mechs, and most of the good ones are on tier 3 and 4, so skipping tier 2 and going for a power level again is also a decent strategy. On top of that, hitting that early sensei is insane. For Bigglesworth, you just want to level slowly. There's no reason to be in a hurry. Play safe and always play for maximum tempo. The triples in direction will come eventually. Nosdormu's tip is just 2 words: pair gaming. When you get baited into picking patches, just remember that pirates only have a shot if you find hoggers, so go all in on buying pairs again to triple into 5-star units. Let your hero power help you out. Since Patchwork just gets a health buff, there isn't that much to say. The big upside from his hero power is that you can power level much easier, and it's also safer to pursue demons. Pyramid has 3 good tribes: Murlocs, Mechs, and Demons on tier 1. If you don't find something good on turn 1, you can consider buying a random unit and just holding it in hand to give yourself another shot next turn. As Ragnaros, you just want to complete your hero power without dying, so it's totally okay to just stay on tier 2 for an extra turn to get stronger. For Rakanishu, you don't want to value your hero power too much early on. You can start using it on 8 gold if you have good units and if the gold works out. Otherwise, just wait until you're on tier 4. Reno should almost always hero power something that scales your board. Depending on how greedy you can be, this can range from a tier 1 to a tier 6 unit. For example, Wrath Weavers, Iron Senseis, Majordomo, Malygos, Brann. Shadowwalk can obviously hero power buffs, but it works especially well with tokens and Khadgar to get some triples going, just like Jandice. When you're playing Silas and are about to buy a unit with a 3rd ticket on it, level and discover a higher up unit, which is almost the same as hitting a triple. As Sinragosa, you want to freeze 2 units on turn 1. I especially love skipping tier 2 and doing a power level on turn 3, because on turn 4 you can just buy 2 units that got +6/+3 stats on them already. I like picking Finley whenever my other heroes aren't optional, even when they're usually playable, because you also get the advantage of seeing your opening shop first before choosing a hero. A good tip for Craig is that it's fine to just use his gold for tempo instead of power leveling. Hold on to it for as long as possible until you start feeling weaker than others. Tess just wants to play super safe, get pairs and win fights. Let your opponents do all the work for you and yoink their stuff. Only pick Curator if Mechs and Murlocs are in, otherwise you won't be able to Divine Shield your Amalgam and give it poison. Currently Akazamzarak isn't available, but I'm sure he'll return to the Battlegrounds soon. One tip is to not waste any gold on secrets, just look for some ice blocks mid to late game. For Lich King, you just want to get a bomb or a spawn on tier 2, this often enables you to just hero power it and power level straight to tier 4. Red King's hero power can give you great tempo early on, but please don't get baited by it in the mid game. It's often not worth it anymore. With Yogg, there is a really interesting leveling curve. If you hit a token or buy a Salamental on either turn 1 or 2, you can stay an extra turn on tier 1 using your hero power and only spend 1 turn on tier 2. As Ysera, just make sure you get strong dragon pairs and keep leveling. Don't get baited by too many early whelps. They often make you weaker and your turns very awkward. And for Zephyrs, it's important that you take strong pairs. There's no need to settle for the bad ones when it's so easy for you to triple almost anything you want. So that was one tip for every hero in Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I'd love to hear your own tips down below in the comments. Now don't forget to like the video as it helps me out a lot, and subscribe for more guides and quality content. Thank you for watching and good luck on the Battlegrounds.